When a full-grown lioness appeared outside a ranger's cabin, carrying a bleeding cub in her jaws, Ethan thought it was the end. He never imagined it was actually a plea for help. It was just after sunrise on the edge of Serengeti Plains, where the golden grass rolled out to the horizon. Ethan Cole, a seasoned wildlife ranger, was sipping his morning coffee on the porch of his small field cabin when he noticed something strange moving through the tall grass. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, until the shape grew clearer. A lioness, large and scarred, was walking directly toward him. Her movements were heavy, almost hesitant. She wasn't stalking or hunting. She was carrying something in her mouth. Ethan froze. Every instinct screamed at him to step back. In his line of work, even a single wrong move near a lion could end badly. But there was something about the way she walked. No aggression, no growling. Just a strange calm, mixed with desperation. When she got close enough, Ethan saw it. A tiny lion cub, limp, bleeding, dangling weakly from her mouth. The lioness stopped right at the wooden steps of his cabin. For a few heartbeats, time stood still. Then she gently set the cub down and looked up at him. Her golden eyes weren't angry. They were pleading. It was the most unnatural thing Ethan had ever seen. A wild predator asking a human for help. He could feel his pulse pounding. He knew if he made one wrong move, she might attack. But he also knew that if he didn't move, that cub would die. So he made his choice. He took a slow breath, crouched down, and whispered, "It's okay, girl, I've got you." The lioness tensed, muscles rippling, but didn't move as Ethan wrapped the small cub in his jacket and carried it inside. Inside the tiny cabin, Ethan's training kicked in. The cub had a deep wound on its shoulder, likely from another lion. He cleaned it, disinfected it, stitched what he could, and gave a small dose of antibiotics from his medical kit. The cub whimpered but didn't fight. Outside, the lioness sat motionless at the door, her head resting on the wooden step, waiting. She didn't try to enter, just watched every second as Ethan worked. The night was long. Ethan barely slept, listening to the faint breathing of the cub and the soft rustle of the lioness outside. Every hour that passed was a small miracle. When the first light of morning broke over the plains, the cub's breathing finally steadied. It had made it through the night. Ethan smiled in relief. But the fight wasn't over. The cub needed proper surgery to repair the shoulder. That meant taking it to the Serengeti Wildlife Rescue Center, nearly 40 miles away. He carried the small crate outside. The lioness instantly stood, muscles tense, growling low, sent a mother on edge. Ethan spoke softly, loading the crate into his Jeep. "Trust me," he said under his breath. He started the engine and drove off slowly. Through the dust in his rearview mirror, he saw her following, not chasing but walking behind, step by step, as if making sure her cub stayed safe. When Ethan arrived at the rescue center, the team of vets couldn't believe their eyes. A full-grown lioness had followed a ranger's Jeep right to the gate and was now sitting outside, calm but alert, waiting for news. Inside, the medical team worked for hours. The cub's shoulder had been fractured but was fixable. Surgery went well, and by sunset the cub was resting comfortably. When Ethan walked out to tell the lioness, she was gone. The next morning he brought the cub back to his cabin. He placed it gently on the same wooden step where the lioness had left it. He waited for hours. Nothing. Just the wind through the acacia trees. But Ethan knew what her silence meant. She trusted him now. Her job was done. And somehow he felt hers wasn't over. Weeks passed. The cub healed, grew stronger, and was finally released back into the wild. Ethan often thought about the lioness but never saw her again. Until one evening, months later. He was driving home from a patrol when his Jeep broke down in the middle of nowhere. The sun had just set, and the night was closing in fast. Then came the sound that made his blood run cold. The laughter of hyenas. A whole pack emerged from the grass, circling the Jeep, eyes glinting in the darkness. Ethan climbed back inside, locking the doors, heart pounding. The hyenas grew bolder, clawing at the tires, biting at the metal. Backup was miles away. He knew it could be over soon. Then through the noise came a sound that silenced everything. A roar, deep, earth-shaking, and close. Out of the tall grass charged two lions, a fully grown lioness and a powerful young male with a thick rising mane. Together they tore into the pack with fury, The hyenas scattered in seconds, vanishing into the night. Ethan sat frozen, staring through the windshield. The lioness turned toward him, her left ear marked with a small tear. It was her. And beside her, the young cub she had once carried to his door, now grown into a majestic guardian. For several long moments they stood there watching him. The lioness's gaze was calm, almost peaceful. The young male let out a final, low growl, warning off any danger that dared to come close. Then, as Ethan's backup vehicle appeared in the distance, the two lions turned and walked away, disappearing into the savannah. They hadn't come for food, they hadn't come for revenge. They had come to return a favor. That night, under the quiet African sky, Ethan realized something he would never forget. That kindness doesn't always stay where it's given. Sometimes it finds its way back, in the most unexpected form. It wasn't just a rescue story anymore. It was a reminder of something far greater, that trust and compassion cross every boundary, even between man and lion. If this story touched your heart, don't scroll away, share it. Because kindness doesn't need a language, it only needs courage. And maybe, just maybe, one act of compassion can echo back to you in ways you could never imagine. Subscribe for more real stories of courage, compassion, and the unspoken bond between humans and the wild.